Welcome to Sports Bytes. With your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken and fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home, get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bytes. Let's dig in.
And a good Tuesday evening, everybody. My name is Chris Joseph. I'm the host of the Sports Bytes podcast, and I welcome you in on this delicious journey of sports and food and everything that we're going to get involved in. We're live across YouTube, so if you're logged on, you're taking part, feel free to chat, communicate. I got a good show for you today. So lined up, I'm going to go over and I know a lot of people are doing this. I'm going over my losers and my winners of the NFL draft, why I think so. I'm also at my give them a Sixer 6 picks. All right. I'm putting out what I feel from research, from experience, what is the 6 top college tailgate locations. Okay. If you're looking for, like I said, with this show, I talk a lot about sports. I talk a lot about food, where to go get some of the good food when you go to these games. So stay tuned because I'm going to do that. Also, I have an interview. For those who know me, know that I did radio out in Oklahoma for some years and became really good friends with Toby Rowland. Toby Rowland is the 20-year vet of the T-Row in the Morning Show on the Ref Network there in Norman, Oklahoma. I was at that station for almost 10 years. I got to produce Toby's show. We did a lot of stuff together. He got the job as play-by-play voice for the University of Oklahoma. He does basketball. He does football. He does baseball. He'll do softball for television. Like he's the voice of Oklahoma. And I reached out to Toby to talk to him a little bit to get his idea of how the Sooners looked in the spring game and as they prepare to head into the SEC officially on July 1st. So I've got that interview set up. It's a recording, so we'll play that. Like I said, I'm going to go over my winners, my losers in the NFL draft. Also, the six best tailgate spots in college football. Now, I know that's a hot button topic for some. And when you get up into that top 3 or 4, there might be some feelings hurt. And again, I'll say this. If you're listening on YouTube Live, wherever you're paying it, Facebook, I know we're going out streaming through. If you want to comment, tell me where I'm wrong. Feel free. I love the interaction. I love the engagement. So feel free. Follow all the socials. As you can see there, I'm on X at Sports Bytes Pod 1. Follow the Instagram at Sports Bytes Pod. You can subscribe. Subscribe on the YouTube so I can start doing lives more often at Sports Bytes Podcast. And you can follow on Instagram at Sports Bytes Podcast. TikTok is at Sports Bytes Podcast as well. But I love doing this. It's a passion of mine. I love talking about food. I love talking about sports. And I like talking with people that like to talk about food and sports. Before we get into some of the top news stories, I want to talk a little bit about yesterday came out a story about UAB. I'm here in Birmingham, and the UAB Blazers became the first team to fully sign with a players association. Now, this is going to lead to a lot. I'm trying to get some more information. And the reason I say that is if you've read the articles, if you read the story, you've seen anything about the athletes page, that the athletes org that they're doing, Jim Cavalli, who's the CEO of that organization, I know him. When I first moved to Alabama, I started working for a company called Iron Tribe Fitness. Now, Jim was very high up in the corporate office. He did a lot of their spokesman stuff. He has done stuff on ESPN before. I mean, well-rounded. You've heard all the stories about. So I'm trying to get in and see if I can get in a conversation with him, just to define a little bit more about this, because this is a interesting new turning point, what could be in college football. And also coming out now, the Big Ten and the SEC working on some ways to, as far as players are being paid, how they can negotiate it. And it's interesting that Trent Dilfer was kind of spearheading this being that he was part of the NFLPA when he was in the NFL. And what was glaring, if you haven't seen the video, there's links everywhere so you can see the video of when Jim Cavalli and Trent Dilfer was talking to the UAB Blazers. Now, this was a team 5-6 years ago didn't even exist. They had killed the program. Now they're setting history. This is going to be an interesting story to watch develop, and it could lead into, who knows? The NCAA is probably close to being done, and I'm going to say this. That leads me into a story I want to talk about, and for those that aren't Oklahoma fans, I'm going to apologize, but the NCAA is awful. Oklahoma, Texas had a baseball series this past weekend. Texas won the series, but Friday was the annual Go Mitch Go game that the University of Oklahoma puts on. So in that, they always wear like a powder blue to honor the team, to honor Mitch, is a young man who passed away from childhood leukemia. And for 17 years, the University of Oklahoma, for their Go Mitch Go game, have used powder blue bases, okay? Nobody said a word. Nobody. But for some reason, Texas comes in and they got to take the bases away. You guys got to pick your battles, man. I mean, that's why the NCAA is almost dead, because I tell people, think about back before the NIL stuff was going on. Take your favorite team, whoever it was. Say like when Johnny Manziel was at A&M. If you went to NCAA.com and typed in Johnny Manziel jersey, it would take you to that jersey. Now, of course, it didn't have his name or anything on it, but you would have that jersey. If you were a Baker Mayfield fan, it'd say, Oklahoma number 6 jersey, Oklahoma Baker Mayfield, and take you to the number 6 jersey. But the fact that Oklahoma had been doing this for 17 years to just now ruffle feathers, it's just not cool, man. It's not cool. Congrats to the Thunder. They sweep the playoffs. That the young Thunder looking good. The LeBron. Now the question is where he's going to be. Wherever Bronny plays, probably. But a lot of stuff going on in the world of sports. But one of the big things was the NFL draft. Now, again, record set in Detroit. It was attended well. It's still one of the longest, most drawn out productions in all of entertainment. Wrong on the NFL for putting Jamal Charles on the air when he struggles as bad as he does. But, you also put some people on there who didn't speak English very well. And, that made it hard for some people to understand what was being said. But the NFL is trying to encompass the world aspect because everybody knows soccer is the world's game. Because the number of, so now they showed fan bases in Germany, Stonehenge, so it's cool. It's cool. But the draft is a great event. So for all you people who have an NFL team, when you head into the draft, you have that anticipation. You have that angst of, what is my team going to do? We've all seen the reactions when, a player is drafted and the guys in the crowd didn't want that person to be drafted. They're mortified, and then the opposing team, the rival, they're laughing at them, having a good time. But it's that, that hope. When you start thinking, okay, this is going to be the draft that really brings it in. This is the guy that's going to turn it around for my organization. I'm going to quit being a loser. I'm going to see this. And you look back to some of the people who have built drafts good and some of the people who haven't. In that, I didn't do a huge deep dive, but kind of going over it, reading all the picks, kind of looking at the players, looking at some highlights of them, and just reading a lot of information, talking to the people that are fans of them. I have come up with 4 losers and 4 winners from the NFL draft, okay? Now, my losers, right there. The Denver Broncos, the Atlanta Falcons, the Tennessee Titans, and the Carolina Panthers. Now, if you're a fan of this team, you think I'm wrong about it, please comment in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking about me saying that these are one of the losers of the NFL draft. And I'm going to go over the picks and let you know. So first off, Carolina Panthers. I don't know why they traded up to get Xavier Leggett. I mean, he's good, but he's kind of a one-dimensional wide receiver, right? He's a straight line, go ball, slant pattern. He's a big freak. But, for me, his route running isn't the best. Jonathan Brooks, look, even as an Oklahoma person, I'll say Jonathan Brooks is a fantastic running back. I think that would be good. Chuba Hubbard's not getting it done there. To me, and you see if you're watching on live, you see I have Jonathan Brooks as the best pick for the Carolina Panthers. Trevin Wallace, a linebacker from Kentucky in the 3rd round. 4th round, they took Jatavian Sanders, a guy who's had some injury problems. Now, again, if he's healthy and can do the things that some people think Sanders can do, it could be a good pick. Smith Wade, the cornerback from Washington, of course, has got that playoff experience. Jaden Crumedy from Mississippi State. Michael Barrett, the linebacker from Michigan in the 7th round. My thing is, your star quarterback spent so much time on his back, he could tell you how many lights were out at the football stadium. I mean, they did nothing. They did nothing to help him. Nothing at all. And Xavier Leggett, I mean, okay, it's a good piece. It's a good piece. Jonathan Brooks, but the rest is just kind of a stretch for me. And I don't know what Carolina Panther fans feel. If you're happy with the pick, hey, by all means. I think they're one of the losers. I would probably give them about a C minus in the draft. The next team I have, the Denver Broncos. First question I have, who the hell is the quarterback? Because they drafted Bo Nix round 1. And look, I'm not here to hate on people and say they're not a good quarter. I did not see Bo Nix as a first-round quarterback. To me, he reminds me of a guy that's already at Denver, Garrett Stidham. Now, Stidham's a guy that I saw him play in high school at Stephenville, wrote some articles about the kid. He went to Baylor. You know, when he went to Auburn, like I said, I remember telling people, you guys have a player. It didn't mesh until the last bowl game when they beat North Carolina. But to me, just Bo Nix wasn't a first-round pick, all right? But now you got Zach Wilson, Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Ben DiNucci. Who's your quarterback? Who's your quarterback? They had no second-round picks. Ellis, the outside linebacker from Utah, okay. Troy Franklin, Bo Nix's teammate from Oregon. You know, you have some guys there that can play. Chris Abrams-Drain, the cornerback from Missouri. I think the best person they got was Audric Estime. I was a big fan of Estime last year for Notre Dame. I thought he was a very talented back, and he's a back that could probably play second and third down for you. Like, he's not just going to be a situational back. That guy could probably be your 3-down back. Devon Veely, wide receiver from Utah, and then the guard from South Carolina, Nick Gargiulo. To me, again, another C is what I would think. Is what I maybe. I just, the Bo Nix for me was a reach. And again, I hope I'm wrong about him. I hope he goes out there and I don't know what all led into him leaving Auburn, because with his father, Patrick, he coached at Penton Valley, Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he grew up wanting to be an Auburn quarterback. And for him to leave, and I don't know, just it's a bad situation. And there was mixed emotions from Oregon fans or from Auburn fans down here in Alabama, that didn't know how to feel. You know, they were happy, but they were like, okay. But I give them about a C minus. Now, the Falcons. This is a consensus. Everybody except Dan Orlovsky thinks that they had a terrible draft. And the main reason is you sign Kirk Cousins to $100 million guaranteed. $100 million guaranteed. Then you draft Michael Penix Jr. Now, look, I was a fan of Michael Penix Jr. when he was at Indiana. The play he made against Penn State, diving, extending the ball out, scoring a touchdown. You can see the talent there. He's had 2 knee injuries, pretty bad ones. That's first-round slot money, man. That there was just some other needs that I think that were more prevalent for the Falcons. Rook Orororo, the defensive tackle from Clemson, and it's always just funny. You almost sound like you're saying his name wrong. Rook Orororo. That's his name. Defensive tackle from Clemson. Big guy, good. Braylon Trice, the edge rusher from Washington. I really like him. That's who I have as the best pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Dorius, the defensive tackle from Oregon, J.D. Bertrand, the linebacker from Notre Dame, Jason McClellan, a running back. And my thing is, you've got a solid running back in Bijan Robinson. You just got to use them right. You got to use them right. Casey Washington, wide receiver from the Illini, and Zion Legault, the defensive tackle from Georgia. And, of course, from Georgia, they're going to be some upside. I think they put themselves in a bad spot with the Michael Penix draft. Could there have been a quarterback you could have brought in later on, probably in round 2? You could have went and got, another offensive lineman. That's something. There could have been something you did different. Now, the last team I talk about is the Tennessee Titans. Oof. I think they stretched a little bit on J.C. Latham. Now, J.C. is a large individual. I don't know if he has what it takes. And I could be wrong. Again, I'm just giving my opinion here. Round 2, a guy, again, another Texas guy that even though an Oklahoma person, I was very high on in T'Vondre Sweat, right? Loved T'Vondre. Thought he was he was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, scored a touchdown throughout the little Heisman pose, big, jovial kind of guy. I like that. It reminds me kind of like a Vince Wilfork, I think, for him. But that's the best pick. Cedric Gray from North Carolina, Jarvis Brownlee, the cornerback from Louisville, Jaquan Jackson. Jackson could be a steal. Now, I'll say that. But James Williams and Jalen Harrell from Michigan, just not a good draft. Overall, just not no third-round picks. But I put down the best pick is for T'Vondre Sweat. And those are my losers. Again, Denver, Carolina, Tennessee, and Atlanta. Feel free to jump in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong, if you're a fan, or if you think somebody else had a worse draft than that. Now, I'm going to hop over to my winners. My winners. Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and my Washington Commanders. I'm going to break down, tell you why. So Kansas City. One, I don't understand how Kansas City worked the voodoo on Buffalo to get Buffalo to trade down. And every time I hear the name Xavier Worthy, all I can think of is that Red River game, first play of the game, swing pass, a little screen out to Xavier Worthy, 75 yards, just outran everybody. The guy is a freak. And so now you've got Hollywood Brown. If Rice can get his legal situation taken care of, Travis Kelce, Pacheco, now Xavier Worthy, they only got better. And Buffalo helped them with that. Why? They're the team you can't get past. You were the Pistons to Michael Jordan's Bulls, and that's what you can't do it. Kingsley Suamatia from BYU, great pick for them. Jared Wiley, I like. I think the Kamal Hayden from Tennessee, it's a good pick. I like what the Kansas City Chiefs did. Now again, the Chiefs did a good job really getting into it, and like I said, getting Xavier Worthy, they're good. That's good. Now, I don't like that this team had a good draft, but the Philadelphia Eagles probably got the best steal of the draft in the second round with Cooper DeJean. Talented defensive back. Will probably play the safety position in the NFL. You also got Quinion Mitchell from Toledo at cornerback. So you probably got the two best cornerbacks in the draft. Right there, your first 2 picks. And I like it. Will Shipley, a good pick. Johnny Wilson. Now, Johnny Wilson is an intriguing pick for me because he has everything at his disposal. All right. He could be fantastic. He had a problem with drops, but I think it's a good chase on him. But again, I think Cooper DeJean is the best pick by far. Best pick by far for the Philadelphia Eagles. My guys. All right. Look, I know a lot of people laugh at me for being a Washington Commanders fan, but with the Commanders, the first pick, Jane Daniels, if they weren't going to get Caleb Williams, which I was hoping maybe there'd be some talk about getting him because he was from DC. Cliff Kingsbury was his quarterback coach at USC. I was hoping maybe Washington would do something because they had so many picks, maybe package something and move forward. But they didn't. They stood fast at number 2. They took Jaden Daniels, which I think of the quarterbacks there is a better fit. Some people may think Drake May is a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels, but for what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do, I believe that Jaden Daniels is the better pick for this team. Round 2, they had 3 picks, and I think they knocked all 3 of them out of the park. Johnny Newton, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, defensive lineman from Illinois, a problem. Mike Sanderstill, defensive back from Michigan in the second round. You heard Nick Saban talk about how he loved this kid. One of the best cornerbacks out there. And the Washington Commanders had some problem on the defense. And again, a steal, I think Ben Sinnott, the tight end from Kansas in round 2. He's not Brock Bowers, but I think what he brings to the table is great. Brandon Coleman in the 3rd round, offensive lineman from TCU. Really good pick. Luke McCaffrey, Christian's brother. Wide receiver from right. He beat Christian in the 40 at the combine. Jordan McGee, Temple linebacker, all over the place. Dominic Hampton, the safety from Washington, really good. And Javante John Baptiste, the defensive lineman from Notre Dame. I really like some of the film he's put on. Not a lot of bend to him, but a good pickup. A good pickup. You want depth in that because you're doing so many rushes and stuff. So I like that pick. Now the Steelers, not a lot of picks, but value for what they got. Troy Fautino from Washington. He's an absolute monster. Absolute monster. Zach Frazier, center from West Virginia. Great pick. You saw what Kansas City's done when they took Creed Humphreys, center. You look at Jason Kelsey, what he's done. I think round 3, Roman Wilson will be a big steal for them as well. Peyton Moore, Logan Lee, Ryan Watts, all good picks. Not a lot of picks for the Steelers, but I think what they did to help their organization out, they did a really good job with. So again, my winners, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, all right, now it's time. I'm going to play this interview. I've got it recorded. You can watch it if you're watching on YouTube Live. You can listen to it if you're listening to the podcast. This is my good friend, Toby Rowland, the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners. I had a chance to talk to him and get his thoughts on the Sooners, and maybe they have a chip on their shoulder heading into the SEC. All right, guys, welcome back to the Sports Byte podcast. And, we talked last week about a lot of spring games. We broke down Jeff Lebby and Showtime State, Mississippi State, went over the Texas spring game. Everyone all in a tizzy. Is Quinn going to be out? Arch looking good. The game I was interested in happened in Norman. The Oklahoma spring game took place, and it's a historic one for Oklahoma, being the first spring game as they head into the SEC. And joining me is a good friend of mine, former co-worker, one of the best to do it, the play-by-play voice for the University of Oklahoma, Mr. Toby Rowland. Toby, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on, because I know you had baseball and, a lot of stuff going on.
Joe's anything for you. You're my man. Good to see you again.
Well, I got to ask, the baseball season's underway, and, we know it's the last Big 12 season for all the athletic programs. And Skip and the boys got it going. They got 8 wins in a row now?
Yeah, playing good ball. First place in the Big 12 right now by 3 games. They have swept 4 conference series, which is the first time they've ever done that in their history, with still 4 series to go. So looking good. The offense is kind of carrying them so far this year. John Spikerman's finally back in the lineup, probably their best player. He missed about 20 games with a hamate bone injury, but they can rake, and the pitching staff's kind of coming around. So it's looking like this is a tourney team again this year, and maybe if they could finish strong in the hunt to host a regional. Oklahoma hasn't hosted a regional since 2009. Even a couple of years ago when they played for the national championship, they had to go to Florida and play in the Gainesville regional and on from there. And they have never won a Big 12 regular season title. They've won the tournament title 3 times, and certainly have been to Omaha various occasions throughout there and a lot of super regionals, but they've never won the regular season Big 12 title. And so it would be kind of a cool way to go out if they could get it this year. A lot of work to be done. Those orange teams are chasing them, so they're not going to make it easy. We got OU and Texas coming up this weekend in Norman. That'll be a lot of fun. But, yeah, it's been a pretty good season so far.
No, and his name slips my mind, but I saw Kendall Rogers talking about the young man pitching last night, hitting upwards of 98 to 102 on the gun.
Yeah, Ryan Lambert is the Missouri State transfer who is a real fireballer. He hit 102, 101, and 102 last night. And he's been a nice addition to the bullpen. He struggled to throw strikes last year at Missouri State. Skip brought him in. You know, Skip Johnson's reputation is kind of as a pitcher whisperer. And he seemingly has gotten him back on track and is a real nice piece of this bullpen right now. He's kind of their setup guy. He's being used in the 7th and 8th innings right now to get it to Malachi Witherspoon, who's become their closer. Sooners added some twins this year, the Witherspoon twins. Kyson is their Saturday starter, and Malachi now is the closer. And so that's been a lot of fun.
Now, I know, Skip, they have a little bit of Alabama flavor with Mr. Frederick out there with the bat.
Yeah, unfortunately, Carter got hurt early in the year, broke his thumb at practice, and I don't know if he's going to be back this season, and that's a real shame because he started great, had a massive home run in a sweep of TCU earlier this year on the road in Fort Worth. And, Masher, great kid, and it probably is going to keep him out the rest of the season, unfortunately. But he's got a really bright future. I had a chance to talk to him a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds like he plans on staying at Oklahoma and playing another year or two. And so, he's been a fun addition.
Got to ask you, I know our buddy Chris Plank does the play-by-play for the softball program. Everybody's seen the new stadium. Have you had a chance to go by it? And your thoughts of Love's Field?
Yeah, I actually called the opener there for television, and it's amazing. I mean, it's not even as great as it's going to be because it's the inside is done. So if you're a fan and you're just going to the game, it looks like it's supposed to look. But the underneath, the locker rooms, the hitting areas, all that stuff, the landscaping around the stadium is all still being finished up. So it's going to be even better than it is right now. But it's amazing. It's the nicest softball stadium in America, and they deserve it. You know, the way they've played the last couple of decades, and certainly the last 3 or 4 years, they've been the best softball program in America by a wide margin. And it's really a fantastic facility. I can't wait for everybody in the SEC to see it. I wish we didn't have to wait. I saw that I know the SEC softball tournament rotates.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's not set to come to Norman until in the 2030s sometime, which I get. I mean, we're going to go to the end of the line on this stuff, but I think it would be cool if they would come to Love's Field a little earlier just so SEC fans could get a chance to experience it. I mean, it seats over 4,000 for softball and standing room only for many, many more than that. So it would be a great facility for the SEC tournament.
Well, everybody would complain anyway. They already think Oklahoma has an unfair advantage with the World Series
of course.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Not to mention how many years it was played there before Coach Gasso got there, really got the program going. All right, let's hop into what took place Saturday at the Palace on the Prairie. Spring game. It's the first one for the football team as they head into the SEC. What was your takeaway from the game, something that stood out to you that you were really impressed with?
I mean, I think the star of the day was Deion Burks, the Purdue transfer receiver, one of the pickups, maybe the top receiver in the portal this year. And he lived up to the billing. He had over 170 yards, a couple of long touchdowns. He looked great. And it's going to be very interesting to see this fall when you put him alongside Nick Anderson, who was held out, Andrell Anthony, who's still coming back from his ACL. Anthony was their best receiver before he got hurt against Texas last year. Jalil Farouk, who was held out. Gavin Freeman didn't play. These are guys who were starters last year who didn't play in the spring game. Now you're going to add in Burks, and this is a pretty scary looking receiving core that Jackson Arnold's going to have to throw to this year. So Burks, everybody was eager to see him, and he was fantastic. Obviously, the big story is, or the headliner is Jackson Arnold, new quarterback this year. Dylan Gabriel goes to Oregon. It's Arnold's team. He was the 5-star out of Denton Geyer, out of high school, the number 1 quarterback in America out of that class. And here's this chance. He looked great and bad in the Alamo Bowl. He got to start in the Alamo Bowl. Had some spectacular throws, and then he threw it to the wrong team too many times. And so we'll see what he does. This was a scrimmage, so can't read too much into it. But he does kind of carry himself. I mean, you're interested in body language. Does he act like he's the man and all that kind of stuff? And he's got a swagger to him. He threw the ball well. I think that, the deal with the Oklahoma offense this year is going to be the offensive line. Like, they've got skill position guys, and there's more coming in the fall. They're bringing in a 5-star running back in Taylor Tatum, who hasn't gotten here yet. The running back room with DeMarco Murray is loaded. We talked about the receivers. The whole question is going to be, do they have the line, especially in the SEC, to hold up to give Jackson Arnold time? If they do, then this offense is going to put up points. If they don't, then he's going to be looking at the sky a lot. So it is a reworked offensive line, and it's just an unknown. I mean, I'm not here to tell you they're not good, but it's a bunch of new guys, some transfer portal guys, some guys that have waited their time. They've just this week picked up another center in the portal from SMU. He's expected to be a starter. So they might be great. I don't know. We just haven't seen this group together before facing the live bullets. So I think everybody's under the opinion, and rightfully so, that as the offensive line goes this year is how the Oklahoma offense is going to go. Defensively, I would say that, they are as excited about this defense as they've been about an Oklahoma defense in a long time. Absolutely. And it started when Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman announced they were coming back. Both those guys could very well be in the draft this weekend and would definitely hear their names called. And they decided to come back. Stutzman will be at least on the early season watch list for the Butkus Award. Same for Billy Bowman in the secondary for the Thorpe Award. He had 6 interceptions and 3 pick sixes last year. And they are as deep in the secondary and as deep at linebacker as maybe Oklahoma's ever been. And that's a testament to the recruiting and the development of Brent Venables and his coaching staff on that side of the ball. Question on defense is the same as it is on offense. What about the trenches? And I think that remains to be seen. They got a couple of studs coming in this class, David Stone and Jaden Jackson, but they're freshmen. Are they going to be ready to be impact guys right away? They got some other guys like DJ Terry and Devon Sears and Ethan Downs and Trace Ford, PJ Adebawore and R. Mason Thomas. All these guys have seen playing time and made plays, but they're not stars. So are they ready for the trenches of the SEC? Are they going to be is it going to be a defensive line that can get pressure on opposing quarterbacks and allow the back end to make plays? So, it's not a surprise. I mean, that's what this league is all about. Big boys. And I think Oklahoma's eager to see how they match up there. If you're looking for a star defensively in the spring game, before we started talking, you mentioned one of the freshmen, Michael Boganowski, out of Kansas, big thumper of a safety who was running around laying licks. He laid out the tight end. He laid out the starting tight end, Bauer Sharp, and I immediately, I think some of the teammates and coaches were like, "Hey, dude, Knock it off. We're not hurt. We'll still be hurting our starters out there.
Bates went up to him, was like getting in his face after that.
Yeah. So we'll see. There's a lot to sort out there because there is so much talent in the back end of the defense. But I think it's got a chance to be one of Oklahoma's best defenses in a long time.
Now, spring games, everybody tries, you really want to temper yourself. Don't want to get too far ahead of you. I mean, heck, in this game, I talked about in my broadcast last night that they brought somebody in from the stands during the kicking for chicken, and if they made it, it was 3 points for the offense. You had a coach's punting, context. You had what Lane Kiffin did for the Oxford games where you had Joey Chestnut eating donuts. And so, I mean, there's spring games. We don't want to get our hopes up too high, but you've seen a lot of them. You've been a part of a lot of them. Where do you think this team is heading in towards this first season of the SEC?
I think that they have done a very nice job this is the third year now for Brent Venables, of accumulating talent on the defensive side of the ball. That has been where Oklahoma has been lacking for a long time. When I say lacking, I mean lacking in the sense of when they got to a college football playoff, the offense could keep up with Bama and Georgia. The defense couldn't. They weren't good enough defensively to win a national championship. And Venables, that's what he does. It's what he did at Clemson. Has the last 3 years done a tremendous job in upgrading the recruiting and in adding through the portal on the defensive side. And so here we are getting ready to go into year one in the SEC, and everybody, myself included, feels much better about Oklahoma's ability to stand toe-to-toe defensively with what I'm not telling you they're going to be the best defense in the SEC. I'm not saying they won't be, but they are a formidable defense with depth and talent. And so that's a good feeling. Offensively, I think they've kind of just kept the train going down the tracks. After Lincoln Riley left, they've continued to bring in a lot of talent at the skill positions and the quarterback position and everything. And like I said, we'll see what the offensive line is this year. So, I mean, I guess my answer is everybody is super excited about this new era, about this new world, places that we're going to get to go, teams that we're going to get to see, fan bases that are going to get to experience Norman for the first time. It's extremely exciting. I have zero doubt that Oklahoma is going to keep being Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not a Johnny-come-lately. They are one of the cornerstones of college football. I don't know if they're going to win conference championships at the rate they were winning them in the Big 12. That's doubtful. But they're going to be a problem. Like, Oklahoma's conference just got a lot tougher. And the SEC just got tougher by adding Oklahoma and to a lesser extent, Texas. Horns down. So I'm excited. I mean, it's nothing other than excitement. I think that you hear a lot of pundits, especially national pundits or pundits from that part of the country, who talk about how Oklahoma should be scared and trembling over what they're about to walk into. I mean, they're good teams in the SEC, but that's what Oklahoma does. So we're excited about it. It's going to be fun. I think that they're ready for year one. I think they're a dark horse. If Jackson Arnold is what we think he could be, that offensive line is good to better than good, then Oklahoma's going to be a player. I mean, look what Texas did last year, right?
Right.
And Oklahoma beat them.
Right.
So I'm excited. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. You never know about injuries and all that kind of stuff. The schedule's tough. Schedule's really tough. But this is what we've been waiting for a long time. I feel like it was a decade ago we found out this was going to happen.
I know.
And we've had to wait forever for us finally to get to year one in the SEC. So it's nothing but excitement, man.
Well, you mentioned a lot of the national pundits, people in this area, a lot of people focusing more on Texas because of the result of Texas football last year, making it to the CFP. But do you sense from the players, from the coaches, obviously from the fan base, kind of a chip on the shoulder of like you said, this is Oklahoma. Do we expect to come in and go undefeated? You got to temper that a little bit, but do you sense kind of a chip on the shoulder from the players, from the coaches?
I would say to some extent. I think they just find it amusing a little bit. Like if you're from part of the world, like what the deal is between Oklahoma and Texas. Like that was a great year that Texas had last year, but Oklahoma's owned them for the last 20 years. And what's the final Big 12 title count? Like OU won 14 and Texas won 4, something like that. So it's been lopsided, and they got them they got them last year even. So good on Texas. Like if they're gonna start to live up to their potential and the way they've recruited, then that's bad news. If Sark's gonna get them where everybody always wants to put them, which is in the top 5 in all the preseason polls every year. If they're going to be that team, then watch out. I mean, the talent in the state of Texas is deep, and they're going to get a bunch of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's just like if you don't know, if you're from another part of the country and you haven't been paying that close attention to Oklahoma and Texas, and the popular things to say has been, I think Texas is ready for the SEC. I'm not sure if Oklahoma is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's cute, but you obviously don't know your football very much. Like you just showed up last year. So I don't know. It just adds to the rivalry, as if there was anything needed to add to the rivalry. It'd be like I don't want to bring up ruffle feathers in your part of the country here, but it'd be like Auburn getting into the college football playoff last year, and then us saying, well, we know Auburn's ready, but we're not sure about Alabama. I mean, come on.
I have Vanderbilt crash talking.
Texas. Yeah, I mean,
crash talking. So
yeah.
I don't know. I want to get your thoughts. Watching the game, you talked about the running back room. I've seen that there's rumors swirling. Javonte Barnes may hit the portal. We know Tatum coming in is going to be on the football and the baseball team. But Samuel Franklin, watching him run, for me, and I want to get your opinion, I had very Quentin Griffin feel from him.
Yeah, he's a littler guy like Quentin was, but runs tough between the tackles. UT Martin transfer, who had a great season there last year. And I think he'll be a factor. I think Gavin Sawchuk, who was their leading rusher last year, is probably the odds-on favorite to be the starter going into the fall. I think Javonte Barnes, if he is here, and I've seen the rumors you're talking about. I've also seen reports that he's not planning on transferring, so we'll see. If he's here and he's healthy, he's obviously extremely talented. He wasn't healthy last year, so he didn't play much. But 2 years ago when he was, he looked really good. And then, I mentioned Taylor Tatum coming into the fall. At running back, you can be an immediate impact guy as a true freshman. And so I think he's got a chance to be that as well. So it's a good room. There's depth there. There's different running styles there. Different level of pass catching ability. So I think they're excited about what they have at running back. There is everything from like Sam Franklin, I would put into maybe the workhorse category. Like he's a tough dude that you can hand the ball to a lot and get you some yards. He's good at protecting the quarterback. He's a workhorse. And then I think Tatum has a chance to be a star. He's built a little bit more like a truck, but with breakaway speed. And there's a chance that he's one of those backs. And Sawchuk's probably somewhere in the middle, and Barnes too. So they got a really nice cross section of styles and talents, and they got a really good coach in DeMarco Murray who knows what he's talking about back there.
Toby Rowland, the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners, joining me today on the Sports Bites, and I would be remiss, Toby, if I didn't send out a hearty congratulations to you. 20 years now on the T-Row in the Morning Show.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. A lot of time with you on there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. My partner and I, TJ, celebrated our 20th anniversary on the air together this year, which is amazing because we can't stand each other, but somehow we've been able to survive 2 decades now. We love each other. And it's been a lot of fun. I can't believe they haven't figured out yet that we don't know what we're doing. But they'll figure it out someday.
I still tune in and listen, man. I always have a good time. I wanted to ask also, so there at the radio station, the Ref, obviously I used to work there, was a part of it. I know you guys have now started doing a special deal with the Crimson and Cream Collective and having some access. And I know you have access as the play-by-play guy, but I think some of the access you guys have gotten and hearing some of the interviews with Jaden Jackson, like Jaden Jackson's story is incredible. Deion Burks, like if you're not excited just talking to him, you don't have a pulse. But how has it been for the station to kind of have this coming on and to get to know these guys at that level?
Phenomenal. This is the best thing to come out of NIL as far as I'm concerned so far, at least as it pertains to the public.
Right.
I don't know what access is like in your part of the country to football players specifically. But in the past, the only time that we'd really get a chance to talk to him was in press conference settings, maybe a breakout after a practice now and then, something like that. But, formal media settings and interviews with him during the season on a radio show, and it never happened.
No.
And talking to freshmen in general, never happened. Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley were never going to let you talk to freshmen. Yeah. And now here we go with this collective, the NIL situation. And Crimson and Cream is the name of the main collective at the University of Oklahoma. And so, it was a great idea. I don't know if it was our radio station management or them, but one of the two, they came together and struck a deal. And so we're getting access to, 2 to 5 football players a week that will come on our shows. And there's an NIL element to it for them. And for our shows and for the listeners, it's great because it's not, a press conference after a game. You're going to ask a kid about the game.
Right.
We get them for 15, 20 minutes, and it's about family. What are your plans for the future? Tell me your story. So much more in depth and interesting. And we actually get to learn about these guys, I think it's good for them too, because in this world of social media and instant feedback, it's so easy to forget that they're not just jerseys out there running around, that they're actual human beings. And they, I don't know, this isn't going to change social media, but we say the vilest things about athletes who miss a shot or miss a field goal or tackle or whatever the case may be. And just the ability to humanize them by hearing their stories and about their families. And, Trace Ford came on my show a couple of weeks ago, defensive end for OU, senior. And what he wants to do when he's done playing football is go back to his hometown of Edmond and build a youth baseball facility. And he wants to run baseball leagues for kids. How awesome is that? Kid's in his 5th or 6th year of college. Nobody's ever asked him that before. What are you going to do when you're done? He had a definite answer. My future plans. And so things like that, you just get to know people better. And obviously it's a good listen. So I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, the Jaden Jackson story, talking about, I'm the first person to go this far in my family, and that's why I'm first at my work ethic's not going to allow me to fail. And I'm like, you automatically start rooting for that guy. You're like, all right,
right.
I'm pulling for you. And I think what you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's completely different immediately after a game, whether it's a win or a loss. Some of the questions, sometimes you're like, why did you ask that question? And it's hard, but there in that setting, like you said, you probably never ask that. It's when you go to like Big 12 Media Day, even the guys at Kansas, hey, what do you think your team's going to do this year? None of them's going to say, we're going to suck. We're Kansas. They're going to hope for, a conference championship, whatever. But it's been really great. All right, I got to ask, I know the last time you were on, I will say, first time as you were the first two-time guest.
Oh, wow.
So first time, two-time guest on the Sports Fights podcast.
What an honor. What an honor.
You told me about a place that you and Joe C, and Joe C's doing so great. I love Joe C, miss him a lot. You talked about a place you guys would go to eat Italian. Where was the best place you ate this year on road trips?
Joe Castiglione, for those who don't know, Sooner Athletic Director. Garozzo's in Kansas City is our Italian spot that I'm going to miss dearly. Best place this year on a road trip. Oh, man. I'm trying to even remember where I've been this year.
I'm sure you had a cougar tail with Teddy up in the booth.
Oh, I had a cougar tail, yes, at BYU. I had the world famous cougar tail. I ate the whole thing too, which should be of no surprise. But that's like a foot long john, maybe longer than a foot, maybe 18 inches. It's a maple long john, which is the specialty out at BYU. And I don't know what they put in it, but it's unbelievably good. Cincinnati. We went to Cincinnati this year. I've been to Cincinnati a ton just from being a Reds fan up there. I don't think we went anywhere too unique when we went to Cincinnati. Where else did we go? I think you might have hit it with the cougar tail. I will tell you tonight, though. Did you ever go to Ishin's when you lived here?
Oh, yeah. Ishin's chicken. Yeah. It's just nothing but fried chicken, pickles, and paper towels.
Okra, don't forget that. We're going there tonight to celebrate my son's birthday. So I got some Ishin's fried chicken in my future today.
Very nice. Very nice. Toby, man, I appreciate it as always. Again, congratulations on 20 years. You and TJ both were very instrumental in my career and miss you guys always. And, hey, I might get to see you guys in a few places, maybe even up in the
yes.
I've got to be up and I'm now credentialed covering the UFL, getting to watch the Birmingham Stallions, and walked past Daryl Johnson the other day, and I was like, that's the Moose, man.
Moose.
It's great. And I'll tell you this, Adrian Martinez played one of the best games of football I think he ever played in his life 2 weeks ago for the Stallions.
How about that? Very good. Yeah, I'm excited about the SEC for a lot of reasons. And one of the biggest ones is hopefully I get to run into you more now.
Well, like I said, I'll just pop in and give Teddy and Drake and all those guys, give them a little grief as always.
Good.
Toby, I appreciate it, man. Enjoy your sons, but like I said, it's making me feel old watching your kids grow up. I still remember walking around Gallagher, Iowa, when we were there for a basketball game and running into your family afterwards, and seeing.
Hey, I got 2 grandbabies on the way.
Whoa,
that's how old I am.
Granddaddy Toby, man. But keep on trucking, brother, and hopefully we see you calling a College World Series game. And I look forward to seeing you when we come up to SEC football season. All right. All right, guys, that was my man, Toby Rowland, the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners, talking a little bit about, Oklahoma coming into the SEC. And it's a lot to talk about with Oklahoma and Texas. Obviously, July 1st is the first official day that they are in the SEC. So, but again, one of the best to do it. And, appreciate those guys who have jumped in on the chat. Terry Walker, what's the topic tonight? Well, I've already went over my winners and losers of the NFL draft. I just had this interview with Toby Rowland, the voice of the Oklahoma Sooners. And next is one of my favorite segments, my Give 'em a Sixer, 6 picks. And I'm going to give you what I think is the top 6 tailgates in college football.
Here's the snap. Look, swing play to Payne. He's looking to the 10, cuts outside, 5. Touchdown, give him a Sixer, Brian Payne. Peyton Gavris looking for a pass down the far side. Caught, touchdown, Corbin Cleveland. Give him a Sixer.
Yes, the Sports Bites. Give him a 6 or 6 picks. So no, that was my touchdown call. Give him a 6er. It kind of works in good. The student section loved it. We had a great time. So I sat down, and from my experience and from talking to a lot of people, trying to figure out what was the best tailgate. Now, this to me encompasses a lot of things. The hospitality to the visiting crowd, the food, the atmosphere, what's going on. So I did some digging, and I always tell people, man, you gotta love tailgate food. And I can't wait because some of these Oklahoma fans are going to get, and Texas fans are going to get a chance to see some of these places this year. But now it's time for my top 6 college tailgates. All right. Now, I know there's going to be some people who are upset with some of these. Again, if you're watching, you don't see your team on the top 6, let me know why. Feel free to tell us in the chat. But my number 6 school. Didn't like their fight song. I know a lot of people know who plays the Root Sandstorm. South Carolina, the Cockaboose trains, 22 trains in the middle of the town that you can drink and eat on. I mean, everything to do. And I can't wait. I can't wait to experience a game there. I want to see it. My kid loves that song. I was showing them some of the clips on there when they get into it. But that's the intros. But the tailgate, that Cockaboose, I mean, 22 train cars. And I love it. I can't wait for that. And sorry, Terry. The music was a little loud. Let's talk a little bit about the Cockaboose. But we got, let's see. Terry said, my 6 would be in no particular order: Texas, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. That's a good 6. That's a good 6. Now, I'm going to give you my number 5 school. You mentioned it. Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers. It's a cool environment because of, you got the Vol Navy, the boats. Great. You're not even an SEC guy. Hey, I'm not either. Not until the 1st of July. But being a part of this, seeing Tennessee. I had a high school teammate of mine that played at Tennessee. The Vol Navy. Hearing OU fans talk about when they went to Knoxville for that game, everything involved, the smell of Jack Daniels in the air, the food, everything around Neyland Stadium. That's my number 5, is the University of Tennessee. Number 4, similar. The town of Knoxville. It's see, and that's why I love Terry. Terry said, I love the town of Knoxville. I live in Birmingham, and so I'm centrally located to pretty much the whole FCC. I'm a 2.5-hour drive to Vanderbilt. I'm a 45-minute drive to Tuscaloosa, a 90-minute drive to Auburn. Starkville's an hour and a half. Oxford's 2 hours and 20. So I'm around everything, and I can't wait. But my number 4, very similar to Tennessee because of what they do with the boats. University of Washington. They got everybody on the sound there, the boats. One of the most pristine views in all of college football, looking over at the sound. It's just an outstanding, but you see the kind of food and the tailgates that are on, and people welcome you on their boats. They welcome you on the boats. But it's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful area. Now, I did, when I was doing a stadium review, this is one of the stadiums that talked about having a salad. And I'm sorry, no salads in the stadium. There's no salads. Keep that out of there. It's like in Parks and Rec. Sue salad. Nobody cares, Sue. Nobody likes salads. All right. Can't have that at a football game. That's my number 4. My number 3. Now, I could have played a different song than their fight song, but I like their fight song because their fight song is my fight song from when I was in high school. On Wisconsin, the Badgers. I'm going to tell you what. You like good tailgate food? Here you go. The Buc-ee's get it, man. Sausage, beer, cheese. Oh, my gosh. Now, I'll say this. I've never been to Wisconsin, but the weekend I graduated from boot camp, I went to Great Lakes, Illinois. I was in the Navy. The weekend we graduated, I went to 2 football games. We went to downtown Chicago, found our way into the Northwestern Stanford game. That was when Bill Walsh was still coaching Stanford, to a 52-52 tie. That was back in 94. Look it up. That Sunday, we got a limo and went to Milwaukee County Stadium. They were still playing football games there, not just Lambeau, right? Saw the Green Bay Packers and the Miami Dolphins. The single-handed best tailgate experience I've ever had in my life. We were walking around in our whites because we graduated early in September, still warm. We're wearing our whites. Navy guys, come have some beer. Come have some brats. Just amazing. Amazing. And this is where the macaroni and cheese pizza started. Was right there. And Madison's just a great town. It's a fantastic town. Wins the Wazoo segment. Look, I'll say this much, and I know who that is. Wazoo gets enough love on game day when you see the flag. I'm kidding. Pullman, a lot of fun. Now, my number 2. Number 1 and number 2 was hard, okay? Number 1 and number 2 was hard. I'm trying to debate back and forth. I flip back and forth. Now, Terry, you hit the majority of them on the head. But my number 2, calling Baton Rouge. And the reason it didn't win for me is because the way the fan base is at the football games compared to just, and I know that there's bad people at every tailgate. Now, if you want all the Cajun food, you want some boudin, you want some etouffee, some gumbo, gator, like there's places. Great. Can't beat Cajun food. You're damn right, Terry. You can't beat Cajun food. I get crawdads. Ooh, give me some crawdads. Some gator tail. Like I said, some boudin. Boudin. Yeah. I love some boudin. But that's my number 2, okay? I love number 2. And Terry said I missed being stationed there. Man, thank you for your service. I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. Where's Tony Tony the Tiger? Yeah, that's another part that adds to the mystique of the game day experience in Baton Rouge, and that is you get a chance to see Tony. You can see Mike the Tiger. I love it. I love that you see Mike the Tiger. Now, my number 1, and I'm going to say this is the place that I'm really excited that I get to go to this year. I've heard stories. I've seen pictures. I've even seen documentaries. But the most wanted party in the South on college football Saturdays. Hotty toddy, God almighty. The Grove. 10 acres of tents, chandeliers, food, drinks, everything. This, to me, is the epitome of tailgating before the game. Now, there's some other places, that may have some spots that are good, but the Grove, from all other fans, I said, I live in Birmingham. I hear it from Alabama fans. You guys are going to be excited to go to the Grove. I've heard it from LSU fans, from Auburn fans. Can't wait to go. So Texas, Oklahoma fans, You get a chance to come out here, man. You want to see this at the Grove, and they are hospitable. They're going to welcome you into their tents. And I went through and I started scouring videos, and you're seeing people. I mean, and they go all out. And I know tailgating has been ratcheted up a level. You've got these RV parks, and I know in LSU they got the RV park there, which is pretty crazy. But the setups, the decor, what people are doing. I saw videos that people had mimosa fountains at the Grove. I mean, it is, and this is the thing too. I think what a lot of Texas and Oklahoma fans need to understand when you come out to the South, it is different. I like I said, I've laughed at it, with you guys about what they say. It just means more, but it does. Auburn, they may not be a good football team this year, but Jordan-Hare is going to be packed, and you better get ready. Now Jordan-Hare, Auburn is a great college town. Orange and blue everywhere. When they win, they roll Toomer's Corner. But again, this was my top 6 tailgates in college football. Now, I've been to Tennessee. I wish I want to go to South Carolina. I want to get on the Cockaboose. 22 cars. See, I did some research, Terry. He said you're a UCLA fan, so they don't know about tailgating. You can't even find a street taco table. That's a crime. You should be able to find street taco tables over. A lot of people like UCLA. What I was reading and when I was talking to some people, they like UCLA and their tailgate because of the environment, sitting outside the Rose Bowl, the view, everything. But again, not allowed to talk about the food, everything as well. If you're watching on YouTube Live, I do want to take a moment and say, look at the scroll on the bottom. All right. I think you want to be a part of college football, join the Maxwell Club. It's the Heisman has become a lot of stuff, to do with popularity, but the Maxwell Football Club, you can get your exclusive membership at maxwellfootballaward.org/join the club. This is the best. The sunset is nicer. Yeah, Terry said the sunset is nicer at the Rose Bowl. Join College Football Dogs as a writer. I am a college football dog writer. I know you're talking about everybody else, man. But my top 6 again: South Carolina, Tennessee, Washington, the Badgers, LSU, and number 1, Hotty Toddy. Now I'm gonna tell you, this has a chance to be Lane's best year. The amount of talent he has coming in. I'm sorry, Troy. I know Troy is a Wazoo grad, a Wazoo alum, coached everything. And I know UW, not your favorite. Also going to recap my losers that I had the NFL draft. I had the Broncos, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Titans. The winners I had down as the Commanders, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. But guys, that's going to wrap it up. This is episode 53. Now, again, like Troy mentioned, join the College Football Dogs as a writer. There's still positions out there. There's some really good content going on at the College Football Dogs. And it's not just the lead national people. We have people that are in the trenches all across the landscape of college football. So whatever your favorite team is, if you want some insight, some good insight, people who care about finding it out, not just, trying to create a story, but people who care. All right. Oh, goodness. They're saying they're already advertising a trip to Ole Miss, $3,000 a pop. Woo! Woo! I'm glad I ain't got to drive that far. It's not going to be $3,000 because I can be home that night. $3,000 a pop. I wonder what that Michigan trip is going to be in a couple of years. But go out, check College Football Dogs, the website, collegefootballdogs.com. A lot of great articles, okay? And again, whether you're an Oklahoma fan, you're a Big Ten supporter, there's somebody covering your conference or your team. And it's good articles. There's some really good stuff out there. Really thankful for this opportunity. It is a passion of mine, and we can't wait for the season to get started. some of the stuff that's coming down the pipe for the college football dogs, man. Terry, I appreciate it too, man. Feel free to jump in anytime, man. On Tuesdays, I'm live. If you follow me on any socials, I try to interact with everybody. I believe that, my show was caller driven. So anytime that I have interaction, man, I want to interact with everybody, reach out, say thank you, try to respond to them. But join the college football dogs, guys. Follow. There's a lot of good stuff coming. I can't say what's coming, but there's a lot of good stuff coming. If you're a fan of college football and you're tired of corporate coverage and you just want some just down home brass tacks college football talk for the fans, college football dogs is where it's at, man. A lot of stuff coming down the pipe. I'm excited. You should be as well. A lot of great shows. The Golden Boot podcast is out there. They do a great job. The Big Ten Backers, the Sun Belt Syndicate. There's so many shows. The college sports fill-ins. And I know I'm probably only, if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, that's what I say. If you got fans, we've just put on some people that are now doing podcasts for the Patriots, coverage, Cowboys. So we're covering everything. So give college football dogs a chance. No matter what your team is, they got you covered, I promise. But that's going to do it for me tonight, everybody. Again, thank you for those who joined in. Thank you for those who watched. Thank you for those who participated. The Raiders. Yeah, we got somebody talking about the Raiders. Now, Troy, did you see that I had the Raiders in my picks as the number 1 NFL home uniform? To me, the silver and black, every time I see them, I hear John Facenda's voice. The autumn wind is a pirate. I mean, it's the number 1 uniform in football. Even more iconic than a Dallas Cowboy star. I'm sorry. The Raiders were my number 1. But everybody have a great Tuesday night. I do want to say thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Nebraska. I know I had some people involved in the tornadoes in Oklahoma. It's that time of the year. Brings back some memories of being on air during May the 3rd, May 13th. I mean, a lot of bad tornadoes, but stay weather aware, stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of people in your life. Let somebody know that you love them today, man. And guys, remember to always positively move forward. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great night.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bytes with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bytes.